So this is going to be a dynamic process, but what I wanted to do, I wanted to give a brief introduction, then have introductions, and I think that might allow some more to filter in if more need to be filtered in. So what we'll do is we'll just have advisory committee introductions, and then introductions primarily institutional based. You know, we won't have time for everybody to say who's present. That would take too much time, and we do have a limited time, even though it's 3 hours. Yeah, so let me dance through an overview and introduction. Can you open that door?
Yeah.
All right.
Back door.
Okay. All right, so what I wanted to do is just dance through the project, just give everybody a background of what the nature of the project is, how it's been funded, and then the details will, of course, be run by the various working group members. So the background is that there were multiple groups across the U.S. That had a lot of national and international collaborations in doing grafting work. And it seemed very suitable to get many groups together and pursue especially crops grant. So we had a 2011 grant, and that's its first title, Stakeholder-Driven Solutions. And then when that came to an end, we got a second grant, started in 2016, and that's what we're functioning on now. And that is really about growing new roots and resiliency. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have presentations by each working group, and I'll show you how that structure is. And so this is the agenda that Wendy had sent out earlier, and the various working group leaders who will present. We have an advisory board that's part of this proposal, and it's been a really functional board. And actually, there's two tiers to the advisory process. This is the National Advisory Board. Actually, it's international because we have so many international partners. But each institution and/or each working group has an expanded advisory board, and that's been really helpful to inform the work at the local or at the working group level. So this advisory board is structured with producers, growers, plant propagators, seed companies, and academia. And so I wanted to pause here and just have people who are on this conference call introduce themselves if you're an advisory board member. And I wanted to highlight, we are recording this. Now, if advisory board members, like especially to the end where we come into discussions, if someone feels uncomfortable about that being recorded, we can turn the recording off. Or what we could do is we could share the total recording except for, you know, the last discussion part if people, because we, you know, my joke is I'm frank, but I would really enjoy it that everybody's frank, you know, to be really straightforward and to provide the level of advice that we need for this project. So I wanted to plant that seed. All right, so let's have introductions here of advisory board members first. And you'll just have to speak out since I can't see you raising your hand. Sally, you first then.
Okay. Sally Miller, I'm a professor in the Department of Plant Pathology at Ohio State University at the OARDC in Worcester.
Dean Leary, I'm with Syngenta Seed Company.
Do we have any others?
Giovanna Causarano.
Yeah, Giovanna, I saw you. Yeah.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm responsible for R&D for a group of nurseries. One is Traistil in Mills River and Centro Seia, different locations in Europe.
All right. And where are you now, Giovanna?
I am at home.
Okay, good job.
My home in Sicily.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any
Thank you.
others?
Yeah, Raphael was there.
Raphael?
Hi, Rafael Lacazruiz from seed company De Ruyter under Monsanto. I'm located in Canada, Ontario, and I've been involved in tomatoes for the past 7 years in De Ruyter, doing development of new varieties for North America, Canada, US, and also connected directly to the Dutch industry for the development of the glass houses.
Oh, yeah, Handy, you're here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. I'm Hande Saganak. I'm from Plaque Connection, California. So we graft vegetables, yes, year round.
All right. Any others?
Yes, good morning. This is Paul Chambers with Keithy Weems Seeds, Keithy Weems Transplants out here in Hopeville, California. And yeah, we're distributing grafted transplants for Trihistil out of North Carolina, your neighbors there.
Great, okay. Great, welcome. Any others? All right, so we got good representation except our producer growers. I know Randall Patterson was out frost protecting strawberries last night and wasn't in the mood to join today, so or the night before. So I guess we don't have any growers, sounds like. All right, good. Well, thank you very much for joining us. That's a really good representation, and you know, like I said, we did record this and we will share that with others as possible. So I wanted to give you an idea of the process we did for preparing. Normally we have a vegetable grafting symposium somewhere in the United States that brings all the partners together, and we were not able to swing that given some of the dynamics. So what we did is every working group got all of their people together and they had online virtual meetings. And each one of those lasted for 2 to 3 hours. So it was a very good mechanism for cross-sharing within working groups. And then those working group leaders took that information and prepared for today. So we feel we have a very broad set of outcomes and questions that we can bring to the advisory panel. And then I'm just going to give an overview of the project. So this is the second tier of activity for the current grant. And the main thing that's different about this grant is that we incorporated a genetics working group, because the first grant we saw a lot of growth in the grafting industry and adoption, but we felt we need to advance the genetics for US and or North America specific areas. But the other working groups would be, the question, how do we make this technology work in the field and what value does it have? And so that would be the solanaceous and cucurbit working group, and then the post-harvest working group. And then, in the first grant, this was a very high and probably a first priority, like how do we produce grafted plants, what's the infrastructure? And so we've seen good growth in that area, and of course Cherry will talk about that. Along the whole way, we have had economic analysis and various components and environmental metrics. And then finally, this grant has put a high emphasis on making sure that the products, reach the end users. So I just wanted to highlight too that we have an executive team. And the executive team, the executive team includes the working group leaders as well as the institutional leaders. So the science and extension is driven by the working groups, but of course the money flows by institution. And that works very smoothly. Everybody has seen Wendy Britton's name, and so she's the coordinator that works with the whole team and helps drive the project. And then you are the advisory board, the CAP advisory board. And Yeah, so that's really the structure of it. So I wanted to take a quick break here and just let each institution say, identify who's here. So of course, we're here at NC State, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grad students and 3 PIs, 5 PIs here. And then I know Penny's on the line, Dilip's on the line, so that's Inga, and so that's the NC State group. Let me give others time to briefly introduce yourselves.
Good morning,
Kansas.
everyone. Oh. Go ahead.
All right, Carrie.
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Oh,
There you go.
good morning, everyone. This is Carrie Rivard from Kansas State University, and we have 2 faculty members and 2.5 graduate students working on this project in the solanaceous, the extension group, as well as the propagation working groups.
All right, next.
Ohio.
Ohio.
Hello, everyone. Ohio State University, 3 of us here in Worcester, David, Joe, and myself, Matt Kleinhens, and in Columbus, we have Sherry Kubota. And together we represent cover a number of the working groups that have already been mentioned. Solanaceous, cucurbit, grafting technologies, and geology.
All right.
Post office, I guess.
Washington.
Hi, this is Carol Miles in Washington. Although you can't see me, I will admit that my 2 graduate students are not currently with me, but they'll be joining us in about an hour or so. And I'm involved in several of the working groups. We're working on watermelon and solanaceous crops.
All right, Clemson.
Richard Hassel. I think I'm the only one on the call today.
Tony Kyneth is also here.
Tony.
Oh, good. Tony's there.
And Florida? University of Florida?
Chilton Gao from Florida. I think we have, I'm not sure whether she is here or not, so maybe I'm the only one now.
Right, Shin will join us after she runs her lab course.
Yeah.
Do we have ARS?
Josh Freeman's also on the call as well.
Great, Josh. Do we have the ARS groups?
Francesco Di Gioia and Cristina Pisani from Marion Roscoe Law.
Right, okay, from Fort Pierce.
Yes.
Arizona?
Hi, my name is Young Jun Son. I'm from System Industrial Engineering Department. Russ from the Agriculture and Resource Economics, and Sarah Masood, our PhD student. We work very closely with Chiri Kubota at Ohio State, as well as the economics group at the University of Florida. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. California?
Hi, Frank. Good morning. Gene Miao. There are 3 extension advisors working on the project, very much from the applied field sort of production side. And there may be another advisor joining later this morning.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else that needs to introduce themselves? I think those are the institutional introductions. All right, so that's a really good, deep team of people here today, so thank you all for joining us. Matt's going to show this slide too, but I just put the list of the names that are affiliated, so there's quite a few different faculty and personnel, and these are the faculty, 32 different faculty, and then the working groups that will help drive the presentations today. One of the goals of this project was not to reinvent the wheel, and so we've done a lot of international collaborations. Some of you were in Italy, some of you were in China. We had tours to Taiwan, Japan, and Italy. Sicily, Giovanna, is a beautiful place.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So, you know, and of course the advisory board, and we continue to really rely heavily on international collaborations and cooperations. The project goal, you know what, I'm going to skip through that. I think everybody has a sense of who we are, what we're doing, and why. what I did want to highlight is just where we're at now. The first grant was worth $5.5 million, and we had $2.7 million of one-to-one matching by private industry, and the rest came through institutional match. And then the new grant is actually in 2 installments. We had a $3.7 million installment, and the second half will start in September 1. And I just got notification about what we need to do for that, and it's primarily a paperwork thing and showing progress. We don't have to compete for that second installment. So that looks very encouraging. And then the other thing I think that's been really critical to this project, it's really been stakeholder driven. We've seen a lot of investment by private companies and grower associations, etc. We have had over 75 private partners that have been engaged to help drive the project. So really what our activities are, this comes from our logic model. You know, we want to integrate discovery-based work, basic research, and applied on-farm work to optimize grafting technologies. We really want to take advantage of the genetic diversity that lies in solanaceous and cucurbit selections for root function and crop production innovations. We want to understand the crosstalk and benefits that happen through the grafting process. We want to have that capacity to support, drive, and innovate in technologies for producing vegetable grafted plants and, of course, distributing those technologies. Our goal is to have the right type of economic metrics and environmental and social metrics to guide the project, especially for decision makers in the grafting industry, as well as the people who use grafted plants. And then, as indicated before, we want to make sure that everything we do has a translatable outcome for our users. And finally, we want to train the next generation so companies can hire new people as well as get the right type of people into academics and other areas. So those are the overview of the drivers. A lot of work has been done through the US. This is a bit old, but it just shows you the type of solanaceous and cucurbit work that has been done through the US. Most of those sites represent PIs and PI projects, but there's quite a number of other people doing grafting work, and we're not exclusive in any way. We're very open, anybody can join the team, and we seek high levels of collaboration. And then, one of the mechanisms for distribution of information has been our annual meetings, and I wanted to plant the seed. In July of 2019, we will be hosting the International Vegetable Grafting Workshop. We'll be running that out of Charlotte, and so we'll need to rely heavily on our advisory group as well as the team, because we'll probably have a applied aspect to that also, like a training and grower-driven or grafting business-driven components. Let me skip that one. The main thing has been, will it work in the field? We've seen a lot of success, and we've seen a lot of challenges. We've seen more adoption in the tomato section, maybe more challenges in the cucurbit section, unless people are controlling fusarium or other major issue. And I think that'll come out today. And then also we've seen a lot of adoption in the seed industry in grafting, production of grafted plants. So in summary, what we're really hoping for is an executive summary of each working group, and then we'll allow some time for working group specific questions, but we hope to have a time at the end where the advisory team can provide more feedback on directions, issues, and priorities. Any quick questions related to that? All right, thank you.